Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel, and we finally have seen Bowser's Fury. We know kind of what this is. Nintendo finally showed a trailer, giving us some glimpse into what Bowser's Fury is going to be. There's a lot to dive into and discuss. It's pretty exciting, and so let's jump into it. Of course, I do want to remind you, before we jump into it, that I am currently trying to cross 15,000 subscribers on the channel. I am pretty darn close, less than 150 to go, which is very, very exciting. So, you know, just a quick reminder, we're always making videos here several days a week. I'm uploading new videos and new content, discussing mostly Nintendo and Metroid, but of course still covering all things gaming. So, as you watch this video, if you like what I'm doing and you like what you hear, then maybe consider subscribing to the channel to help me cross that milestone very soon. So yesterday evening, Nintendo confirmed on Twitter that early this morning, 6 a.m. on the West Coast here where I live, that they were going to be releasing a trailer finally showing us what Bowser's Fury is. Bowser's Fury, of course, being the previously mysterious addition to the upcoming Super Mario 3D World Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. And it was very exciting, of course, and it was also pretty fortuitous because, as I joked, just on Sunday I actually released a video making my own predictions and theories about what Bowser's Fury could be, and I joked in that video about how funny it would be if actually this coming week would have been the time that Nintendo was going to finally show us what it is, and that's exactly what happened. This morning, again, 6 a.m. here where I am, they finally had a 2-minute trailer drop that shows us what Bowser's Fury is. And so, if I was to discuss and break it down and, like, let's just get into this thing, I think the first thing to talk about is just overall general first impressions. This is really cool. I have to say, I'm surprised to say that it does look like Nintendo went all out on Bowser's Fury. Now, in my video, I talked about some of the things that I thought Bowser's Fury could be, and two of the options I discussed that sounded really cool to me are kind of a little bit what it seems like they might have done here, although it kind of looks like they even went above and beyond those predictions. Like, I talked about it being a huge extra Bowser's Castle, I talked about it being an entire new world to the game, and it seems like what they've done is made a whole new world, but it seems like it's, instead of just like the normal like hub world where you've got like this map that you select levels from before you go into them, it seems like, again, we don't know 100% yet, but it seems like it's just a big open world in the Mario 3D World universe and engine that's got a huge Bowser's fight within it, and then a ton of other crazy things happening. Like, this is really, really surprising. Now, before I get too much into the rest of the exciting stuff, I do want to go over one of the kind of frustrating things about this, and maybe the only negative I think we can still take away from what they showed this morning. And it's the fact that they didn't detail anything. And there's a lot of people who are still very excited about it, but asking the same questions that I've seen online this morning about what this thing really still is. Like, Nintendo didn't say anything. There wasn't even no words or text describing things in this trailer. It's just a bunch of images and footage, and while the footage is absolutely incredible looking, we don't know what the scope of this thing is. Like, is this a whole new open world section? Does this operate in the sense that you're dropped into it and you just run around and do a bunch of things until you make a big final fight with Bowser? Is there multiple stages to select? Is this, you know, 5 to 10 hours, or is this 1 to 2 hours? And there's just, you know, those kinds of questions we're still left with. And it's kind of strange because Nintendo is really good about sometimes releasing trailers that literally are overviews where, with a narrator, they go over and detail stuff, almost like Treehouse kind of presentations, but without the actual Treehouse. They've done that for, I don't know, Luigi's Mansion 3 is a recent example that comes to mind, and there's a couple of other games where they've done this. I think Animal Crossing, actually, New Horizons had one of those as well. And I kind of expected, you know, when we learned that they were going to do this in a trailer drop, which I also predicted on Sunday, by the way, I was kind of thinking they were going to do that. I didn't know it was going to be a completely, you know, narratorless trailer that just had a bunch of footage of the game. And so, while the footage, again, is absolutely amazing, it's kind of frustrating that they've yet to actually tell us anything about this. I mean, I still want to know how much content this is, how long it takes to go through, what there is to do, and all of these different details. Now, there's still a month to go, so one would think eventually in the next maybe couple of days or weeks, Nintendo might release a second trailer where they actually do detail the game. In fact, I kind of expect them to do that. So if they do that, that will be really great, but in the here and now where we have nothing but this 2 minutes of footage, that part, I have to admit, is pretty annoying. But I do still have to go back to what they showed, and I have to admit, you guys, it was so darned good. And this is coming from someone who, as I've said, thinks Mario 3D World on the Wii U is a very, very good game, but it is very low on my Mario list of games. And I feel like the quality of footage that they showed today, especially if it's a substantially sized addition to this game, is awesome. It's some of the best looking Mario content I've seen. It even kind of looks better than just what 3D World is. And I mean that both visually and in terms of content. I think one of the first things we probably all notice, at least those of us that played the original game, is that it looks like there's a completely free camera in this Bowser's Fury new world, you know, that you're playing in all the footage here. Like, the camera's following Mario specifically as if you can actually control it like you could in any other Mario game with the right analog stick. And that is something you cannot do in the regular 3D World game on the Wii U, because that's a fixed camera that's using like a top-down isometric view, and you can turn it to preset angles, like, you know, in like 45 and 90 and 45, 95 degrees, or whatever those angles would be. You know what I mean. You could change the angles of the camera, but that's it. You can't actually control it like a free camera. And all the footage here seems to suggest that you can do that in this game, which again is what makes it feel like an open world. It even looks like it's just like a big Mario 3D World theme park almost. You know, ironic because the Super Mario World in Japan is opening soon. And this kind of seems to be like an in-game video game version of like that same thing. It's like this huge looking world with tons of places to go and things to do. And that part, I think, has most of us really the most excited. Like, it's almost like a Mario Odyssey Kingdom, only it's in 3D World where you can also, like, turn into, like, Hammer Brothers Mario and Catsuit Mario. One of the only other big details we can take away from this is the weird and random inclusion of Bowser Jr. And not only the fact that Bowser Jr. is in the game, but he seems to be helping Mario. Doesn't seem like he's helping his pops, big old frickin' super killer Bowser there. It seems like he's helping Mario, like he's a companion. And so this is where more questions come in and why it's still annoying that Nintendo didn't actually say anything about it. They just showed footage. Is he an AI companion that follows you around and does things automatically? Is he an AI companion that you can give orders to have him do things? Is he another companion that can be controlled by a second player? Maybe it's all of the above, or a mix of some of the above. I mean, whatever the hell is going on, Bowser Jr. is in this game, and he seems to be on Mario's side, so it doesn't make any sense, but it is very cool. The two main things I noticed Bowser Jr. do that really stuck out to me was there was one point where it looks like he attacks an enemy or like smacks him with his paintbrush. And the other thing is, I mean, he has a paintbrush, and there's a part where he like paints something on the wall. And I can't tell if he's painting like a door into like another world, or if he's painting something and like it's going to reveal an item that Mario gets to collect, which I think is probably what it will be. But it's a little bit reminiscent of Mario Sunshine, right? That's kind of what it reminds me of, as far as painting on the wall. And in Mario Sunshine, you know, it reveals like a little M thing, which is really a symbol that you can use to warp into another world. And there are also symbols on the walls that you can clean off with the FLUDD that reveal like coins and special items and stuff. And so, I don't know, it just gave me that vibe, but they didn't really show us enough to understand what it is. And again, there's no narrator, so we don't know these details. But there's something very weird and curious going on, both obviously with Bowser, freaking gigantic Godzilla Bowser, and then just friggin' Bowser Jr. just hanging out with Mario. Like, what the heck is going on here? And of course, let's talk about the other big thing, the other elephant in the room, which is Giant Bowser and Giant Catsuit Mario. That seems to be the real hook here. So, you know, we know this thing is called Bowser's Fury. It's an addition to an existing Mario game. And obviously was going to be about Bowser, and so here we see a huge Bowser just sitting in the middle of the world, And it seems like you probably have to run around this world and do a bunch of things, or press a bunch of switches, or beat a bunch of mini-bosses, or who knows what, and you probably do enough to activate the gigantic Bowser, and then all of a sudden, Bowser just flips up into the air, and goes crazy, and is like the size of Godzilla. And then, it seems like what you have to do is go to the giant Catsuit Bell, which is going to be located somewhere else in the world, probably. I bet you have to survive, you know, giant Bowser's attacks from afar as you traverse the world back to wherever this big bell is. You get the big bell, and then you become giant Super Saiyan Catsuit Mario. And it seems pretty obvious you'll then engage in a huge battle across this thing, and you beat Bowser, and I bet that's just the end of the whole thing. All in all, it seems very cool. Like I said, I really just need to know if this is 1 hour or if this is 5 to 10 hours. I hope that it's a longer experience. But regardless of that, I still just have to admit, as I continue to watch this footage here, it just looks so dope. It looks really cool. There's a snow area, there's a bunch of water areas, there's a whole raining section. I mean, it looks like it's a pretty sizable world here, and so, you know, we're left with the question, how do you access this? Can you just pull this up from the main menu from the game? Is this something you have to play after you beat the game? Do you have to beat just the base version of the game, or do you have to go all the way and 100% it? I mean, again, I've said it so many times, but we have to keep coming back to this. What are the details, Nintendo? Why did we get no information from you? I really do think we're going to get another trailer that's like 2 or 3 minutes that will actually feature a narrator and break down these details soon. So, but it is still just a little bit frustrating to not have it right here and now. And that also brings me to, I think, maybe the last kind of sort of frustrating or annoying thing about this whole Bowser's Fury thing. And to me, it's the fact that it's not its own game. Like, I watch this footage, I see how different it looks from the regular 3D Mario World, and I'm like, why didn't this just become its own game, like a sequel, like a Mario 3D World 2, or just a new game called Super Mario Bowser's Fury that's using clearly the same engine, but suddenly that's open world with a free camera, and was doing all sorts of things there. I mean, I feel like there was an opportunity for Nintendo to do something new, not to just slap this on to an existing game that came out 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago, I should say. I feel like that's a bit of a missed opportunity, and so it's like on one hand, it looks so cool, it's making me want to double dip on a game I already bought, and on the other hand, it would have just been so much better if they took more time and actually made it its own brand new game. But what I will say on that is that I'm willing to bet Nintendo's already working on another Mario game anyway, so I like to just tell myself that this isn't actually taking anything away from a future brand new Mario game. This is probably just a different, totally separate, you know, surplus content for us to play for an existing game. And I think that we all know that Nintendo's already working on another Mario game anyway. It's not like the only team that could possibly be working on a Mario game was tasked with this, and so it's lost time. I don't think lost time was spent on this. I think Mario is being developed somewhere else, and the Bowser's Fury thing was being developed over here with this game, and so I'm sure that we're going to probably see a new Mario game, hopefully sometime this year anyway. But I did just want to bring it up, because, I mean, it looks so good. It looks like they spent so much time. The visuals look so much better than the Wii U version that it's hard not to lament the idea that this could have instead just been announced as like a brand new Mario game. Either way, this is it, man. This is Bowser's Fury so far, and this is just my initial knee-jerk reaction. I mean, I'm recording this 30 minutes after the thing went live and I watched it. Over the course of the next couple of hours or days or weeks, I'm sure that we'll all notice more things that I didn't bring up in this video, but, you know, I woke up early to watch the trailer. I thought I was going to go back to sleep afterwards, but I actually couldn't sleep, and so I was like, screw it. I'm just going to wake up early, and I'm going to just record my thoughts on the video, like, right here and now. So this is what it is. These are my thoughts. What do you think about my breakdown, and what do you think about the trailer? Are you excited for Bowser's Fury, or do you think it looks lackluster? Maybe you're frustrated by the fact that we didn't get details and it was just a trailer. Whatever you think, talk about it below. Again, if you liked what I'm doing here, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm always uploading new videos, and so with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.